4 teams, 1 crown. Florida, Auburn, Duke, and Houston all face off. But who will be cutting down the nets to the women's side? 4 teams, a heavy favorite in South Carolina, and an underdog 2-seeded UConn. What's the future for USC women's basketball? Juju Watkins with a torn ACL and 2 players entering the WNBA draft. What will be on tap for the 2026 Trojans season? All that and more coming up on Sports Scene.
Welcome back to Sports Scene. It may not be March anymore, but I think all 3 of us are mad. I'm Nolan Ezett.
I'm Liam Irvin.
And I'm Chris Jose Nixon.
Trojans can officially be mad because of March. The women's basketball team's tournament run has come to an end with a 78-64 loss to 2-seeded UConn in the Elite Eight. Expectations were bleak heading into a rematch against last year's tournament killer, but this time without star Juju Watkins. UConn's top guard Paige Beckers dropped 31 on USC, and while Rhea Marshall had a strong last outing with 23 points, no one else had more than 10. When Marshall didn't have the ball, offense was non-existent. USC shot 19 of 56 from the field, including 3 of 13 from beyond the arc. Giving up 15 turnovers was just the insult to injury. But head coach Lindsey Gottlieb has a positive outlook on the season.
From the second we lost at this round last year, I said the bar's been raised, the standards have been raised, the expectations have been raised. And even though we've lost at the same point and stage, I think our team 100% delivered on raising that bar and raising that standard. And I thought, it took a lot for us internally to get to the point where we were legitimately a national championship contender, a real top 5 team, all year long. And we lost a tough game to Notre Dame, and we looked inwardly, and I just couldn't be more proud of a group.
Now just 4 teams remain in the NCAA tournament. Friday night, everyone can tune into both Final Four games. First with the 1-seed matchup between defending champion South Carolina and Texas, then with a UConn versus 1-seeded UCLA contest. Now 3 1-seeds and a fan favorite 2-seed remain. Liam, I'll start with you. Who are you picking to take home the trophy?
I think you got to turn to UCLA and 6'7" Lauren Betts. You talk about it a bunch this season so far, but everything in that offense runs directly through it. Coach Corey Close has been arguably the best coach in this Final Four so far. 65% shooting for Lauren Betts on the season. And UConn really lacks size inside. It all comes down to Sarah Strong's play. I don't think she has enough to stop Lauren Betts and the UCLA Bruins. I see them at least taking the Final Four, if not the championship.
I think you make a great point about UCLA's size, but I am rolling with UConn. I mean, when it comes to, we just talked about it. The March Madness is over. It's time for April, and I think in April, superstars are ready to show out. Paige Beckers is, in my opinion, the best player remaining in the tournament. I think UConn has enough size, and we saw them display that against South Carolina, where they battled against a team that is bigger than them and was able to dominate the rebound battle. I think they can get it done against UCLA and take it all the way home.
I mean, guys, don't fix what ain't broken. South Carolina just won it last year. You got the same coaching staff. You got, a lot of the same girls. It's an experienced lineup. I mean, I'm looking at the South Carolina team. You got Chloe Kitts and Tahina Paopao. Those are probably their 2 best scorers. But that entire roster, I think the one thing South Carolina has that the other teams don't is, any injury can happen. You've got another girl off the bench, that are able to help your team out. I will say UCLA's got a star that South Carolina might not have, but I trust the depth in the South Carolina team. Either way, before they win the championship, they're going to have to get through these Final Four matchups, and we'll get to watch both of them. First, South Carolina and Texas will tip off at 4 p.m. this Friday, and then UConn, UCLA at 6.
With 1 Big Ten squad remaining, we'll send it over to Casey for an in-depth look. It's time for your Big Ten breakdown.
That's right, Chris. The women's Final Four stage is set, and 1 Big Ten team found a way to squeak through. The UCLA Bruins unleashed a 3-point flurry against LSU in the Elite Eight to win 72-65 and advance to their first ever Final Four. Let's take a closer look at some of their tactics on Big Ten Breakdown. So let's take a look at the UCLA offense that, of course, runs through Lauren Betts. This is a signature play for her, trying to creep down into the post, and she does a great job of fronting. She's not quite fronted yet, but it's that subtle elbow movement as we see on the LSU defender, and she doesn't warrant a whistle, able to get in front, and when she has the ball in this position, it's wraps for the defense. She probably did this a million times against LSU. It's just so easy for her to get inside and score with ease at the rim. She had 17 points. Let's take a look at the Bruin defense, though. Turning defense into offense, sort of a sleep at the wheel play for LSU on offense. That's a takeaway. And, of course, Gabriela Haka is so good at finding space inside. Easy 2 for her. And so for UConn coming up, they're going to have to worry about that UCLA defense. But the Bruins now face UConn for the second time in 2 seasons for a chance to go to the national title game. History favors the Huskies as they're 7-1 all-time against UCLA, but the Bruins beat them last year with Kiki Rice dropping 24 points, but Paige Beckers had 31 points, so that'll be an interesting clash. That'll wrap up this week's Big Ten breakdown. USC may be out, but the future is bright. Chris, tell us more.
Thanks, Casey. With the season over for USC women's basketball, they will shift their focus to next year, but they'll have to move on without several key contributors. Stanford transfer Kiki Iriafen will move on to the pros after her 4 years in college. She's a top 5 projected pick in the upcoming WNBA draft. Star shot blocker Rhea Marshall will also graduate. She spent all 4 of her years at USC, and she'll have a chance to be a WNBA player as well as a projected second-round pick. Staying in LA will be the freshman core of Kennedy Smith, Avery Howell, and Kaylee Heckel, who will have to step up in their sophomore season. The trio contributed all year but played some of their best basketball in the March tournament, filling in for Juju. The Trojans will also bring 5-star recruit Jazzy Davidson into the fold. The third-ranked recruit was a McDonald's All-American and Naismith All-American first-teamer, scored over 2,000 points in high school, and was a 4-time Gatorade Player of the Year in high school. The roster will look different next year, but the Trojans will have plenty of talent. Coach Lindsey Gottlieb will also possibly look into the portal to fill the gaps.
The madness has narrowed, and the Final Four is here. 4 teams, 1 dream, and a whole lot of madness. Florida, Auburn, Houston, and Duke all have one goal this Saturday to round out the tournament. As the tournament comes to an end, many have realized the Cinderellas have stayed home this year. No shocking upsets or bracket busters. Let's compare this to 2 years ago, where number 4 UConn faced off against number 5 Miami, and number 5 San Diego State went toe-to-toe with number 9 Florida Atlantic. This year, all 1 seeds. But this Elite Eight was about heavyweights. How about Walter Clayton Jr. for 3, knocks it down. Florida escapes Texas Tech. Now to the Midwest, it was all Houston over the Bulls. Emmanuel sharpshooter, Cougars win 69-50. Then to the South, Auburn having trouble. Janai Broom hits the exclamation mark, sneaking by 70-64. And then for the final game, a strong Crimson Tide team, no match for the Duke Blue Devils. Cooper Flagg, a floater. Duke dominates Alabama. So many have had issues with the Final Four being all number 1 seed. Nolan, let's start with you. What do you think about the Final Four so far, and more importantly, who do you see taking home the crown?
I mean, look, I know this is a hot take. I'm kind of happy that, for once we're seeing, all 1 seeds in the Final Four. I think it's going to make for some amazing Final Four matchups. That said, I'm going to go against the grain here. I know most people are taking Duke. I'm taking Florida. I'll be honest, I think they have the best player on the court at all times. I'll take Walter Clayton over, anyone on Duke, but obviously Cooper Flagg is the main guy there. Walter Clayton is incredible. I mean, just watch these shots. And I know what you're thinking. Will Nolan just, cherry pick these shots? Not true at all. He's shooting 45% from 3 in this NCAA tournament. I think he's awesome. You also got Thomas Howe coming off the bench, putting up 13 points a game. This team has depth. They've also got players coming off the bench that can help you out.
Yeah, I mean, with all the 1 seeds, it's hard to, pick apart any argument. But I am going to go with who you mentioned, Cooper Flagg and Duke. I think Cooper Flagg is the best player in college basketball. I think he does it all offensively, can score at all 3 levels, the rebounding, the defense. And this is a team that's got tremendous positional size all over the place, great spacing with the shooters on the wing, Evans and Proctor, and then that vertical spacing. I love a lob to come on Malawach. I got Duke.
A similarity between all 3 of us, star power. I'm taking Auburn. Janai Broom, Wooden Award finalist, Player of the Year finalist. I think Denver Jones has been a great perimeter defender all season long. If he's able to stop the perimeter defense, that will be a key for Auburn. Their scoring's there. We know that. Broom had the injury towards the end of the game. It didn't matter for the Auburn Tigers. And also, this is the most experienced team in the tournament, a super old squad, a 25-year-old in their starting lineup. So this is a team that's not going to be afraid to back down to the big test. We'll all see. The stage is set for a showdown in San Antonio this Saturday, as Auburn will face Florida and Duke will go toe-to-toe with Houston. At least 2 1 seeds. Powerful runs will come to an end. Now let's send it over to Studio A, where Terrence has been pondering the lack of upsets in this year's NCAA tournament.
Well, the NCAA tournament has come and is now almost gone without that promised madness. But why is that? Now, part of the blame can be attributed to the transfer portal and NIL. Small schools cannot develop players without them being bought away by the big guys. Now, the other is that the best teams, as Liam just mentioned, are just that good. With the Final Four teams all ranked top 10 all-time in KenPom adjusted efficiency rankings. Now, there were, of course, some upsets, with McNeese knocking off Clemson, Drake beating Missouri, Arkansas over St. John's, and Colorado State over Memphis, but the Rams were actually favored in that game, and none of it actually felt like madness. And now I'm going to open this up to you guys. Do you think that the transfer portal and NIL has ruined the NCAA tournament?
I mean, look, I'll just say, I've heard that statement a lot. I mean, I think we've all heard it. First of all, the fact that you've got 4 1 seeds, in the Final Four, it's not because of NIL, it's not because of the transfer portal, it's because the best teams didn't crumble when the stage mattered most. Also, NIL and transfer portal, that favors blue bloods. It also favors teams in big cities, teams like UCLA, which is obviously in Los Angeles, also teams like North Carolina and Kentucky. Look at what they did. You've got an Auburn team who's never won a national championship, a Houston team never won a national championship. This is great for them.
Yeah, guess what? Duke recruited really well. The SEC, we knew they were going to be strong. I don't think it's ruining the tournament for me. For me, I think you're watching a bunch of great basketball. I'm kind of on your side of this, and Nolan. I don't mind all 1 seeds being in the Final Four. I think you're watching a bunch of great basketball players and a bunch of great basketball teams go against one another. I think if there's one issue, it's the timing of the portal. Where you have coaches that are trying to recruit and keep their players during the tournament, they should be able to focus on coaching during that time. But I don't think it's ruining it.
One of the issues I see with this is actually the conference realignment, not the NIL or any of that business. I think, if this Sweet 16 was 2 years ago, 7 conferences would have been represented. And I think the stigma that people have around this tournament is it's all the same conference, it's all the same tournament. And people aren't understanding that with the conference realignments, that has changed up. Terrence, what are your thoughts, though?
Guys, I'm going to be honest. I agree with most of you. That's not a surprise. That's kind of shocking on this show. But to be honest, if you don't like the NCAA tournament, if you think it's falling off, then I don't think you like basketball. I don't think you enjoy watching basketball. Because yes, there was blowouts. There wasn't all that madness that we really expected. There's still about 8 to 15 games of college basketball happening really all at once. Now, media members such as Stephen A. Smith will have you believe that the transfer portal and NIL, it's the death of the NCAA tournament. It's just not true. That's just the reality. Yes, there needs to be reform. Yes, things need to be done better so that this is more even, so that we see that madness. But are you really saying that you wanted to see a 14 seed get blown out by 30 in the Sweet 16? I know there were some blowouts over the other teams, but do you really want to see that? We're about to witness some high-level basketball in this year's Final Four. I think it's one of the best we've ever had. Now, I'll send it back to you guys to tease what's coming up next, and I hope that we'll see some of that high-level basketball.
Still ahead, USC men's basketball isn't done yet. The Trojans went to Sin City. We're breaking down how the game went last night.
Play ball. USC baseball is in full swing in the Big Ten, and we predict the rest of the season.
Fushigi!
Fushigi, I don't know what it is, but it's the coolest thing ever, and I can do it.
Hi, I'm Tim Goey, and this is Fushigi. We're going to show you how to unlock the secrets of Fushigi, the magic gravity ball. No strings, no tricks. Magic? Maybe. An illusion? You decide. You can make Fushigi defy gravity and appear to float in midair with maneuvers like the prayer cross, the enigma, levitation, and so many more. It floats, it levitates, it will confuse the senses with its mind-blowing movements. Young or old, big or small, anyone can Fushigi from the minute they pick up the magic gravity ball. And with a little practice, you can conquer Fushigi.
This is so amazing.
I think it's fabulous.
I get it now.
Everyone loves Fushigi, and you don't have to be a magician. It's relaxing, even therapeutic. Best of all, it's just amazing.
It floats.
It's awesome. Fushigi.
From basic maneuvers to the advanced, even control more than one Fushigi at a time. You can do this. Mystify, amaze, and confuse your friends in just minutes. Now it's your turn to master Fushigi.
Fushigi.
It's sick. It's so much fun. I love it.
It's amazing.
I love it.
Me too.
My grandson, he's 16, he would love one of those. I want to buy it now.
Fushigi. Call now to order Fushigi.
Quick breaking news, Juju Watkins has won Naismith Women's College Basketball Player of the Year. Huge victory for this women's squad. And even though This Trojan team, obviously, their season has come to an end. Huge win for this team, especially going forward. But now, onto the men's side of things. The college basketball crown tournament, which features 16 teams not invited to the NCAA tournament, is officially underway. Throughout this week, we'll see a couple teams make their way toward that crown in the center of the bracket. Every team played a first-round game that lasted the last 2 days, and starting today, we'll see some second-round matchups. Now, USC got revenge on Tulane for its Cotton Bowl victory in 2023 with an 89-60 win in the first round of the tournament. Rashawn Agee dropped 27 and had help from St. Thomas's 14-point performance. It was a solid team effort, though, with 7 players scoring at least 6 points. Next up on the docket, USC faces off against Villanova on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. The Wildcats are coming off a hot 85-64 win against the Colorado Buffaloes. Now let's send it over to our reporter Scott Hills, who's in Studio A with USC's top 3 plays of the week.
Is this mic on?
Are we supposed to be able to hear Scott?
It was a busy week for USC athletics in the heat of the spring season, and today I'm breaking down my top 3 Trojans plays of the week. First, we'll head over to the pool and USC women's water polo's win over then number 1 ranked Stanford. It was a high-energy back-and-forth fourth period, but it was Tilly Kern's 6-goal game and dynamic fourth quarter that capped off the effort for the Trojans. Let's take a look at her up-the-middle slam off the pass of Emily Osmus through a crowd of Cardinal defenders to send it to the back of the net. With a goal in the final minute of play, Kern set up USC to close the game. Next, we're looking at men's volleyball, a team that had a busy 2-win weekend over ranked opponent GCU to continue their historic season. It was the block off an overpass by freshman middle blocker Parker Tompkinson that sealed the second-day win. Tompkinson had himself a great day with 6 kills and 5 blocks, but it's the 7-foot player's ability to read this overpass by the Lopes and capitalize off a free ball point opportunity that closed out the series for the Trojans. For my last top 3 SC play of the week, I've got the first 3-pointer by freshman guard Kennedy Smith in USC's Sweet 16 game versus Kansas State. We know the Trojans season came to an unfortunate end in the Elite 8 against UConn, but it was Smith's ability to step up in Juju Watkins' absence in the Sweet 16, leading with 19 points that helped send USC to the Elite 8 in the first place. The Trojans opened on a 7-0 run against the Wildcats, and it started with the opening 3 by Smith to set the tone. So, a busy week for the Trojans, highlighted by Kearns in the pool, Tompkinson in men's volleyball, and Smith in March Madness. But another team in the heat of their season right now is USC baseball. So let's send it back to the desk for more on their season.
Thanks, Scott. The USC baseball team received a surprise yesterday as head coach Andy Stankiewicz was named the manager of the 2025 USC Baseball Collegiate National Team. Stankiewicz will be returning to USC baseball for his 5th time after serving as an assistant coach in 2012 and 2023 and as a manager of the 18U national team in 2014 and 2017. As a head coach at USC, Stankiewicz has an 82-62-1 overall record, has led USC to back-to-back 30-win seasons for the first time since 2003. Meanwhile, USC baseball is grinding through the dog days of a long season, grabbing a win last night over San Diego State. It was a back-and-forth affair with the Aztecs, with each squad racking up over a dozen base hits. 2 runs in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, and 2 more in the 6th buoyed SC to a 9-6 victory over SDSU. As he has all season, Ethan Hedges powered the USC offense this past week. He was 2 for 5 with an RBI against San Diego State, but really caught fire over the weekend in Bloomington. Hedges terrorized the Hoosiers, hitting .692 with 4 homers and driving in 9 runs during the 3-game set. The Trojans have now won 3 of 4 and will carry hot bats into this weekend's homestand against their new conference rivals, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, let's send it over to the green screen to hear about what Trojans are competing in one of the most infamous golf courses in the country.
History on the horizon. High from Augusta, USC Women's Golf is sending 4 to the Augusta National Women's Amateur Tournament, a record-setting moment as the women of Troy travel to the biggest stage in golf. The 4 players selected include sophomore Bailey Shoemaker, a name you've heard before, freshman Jasmine Koo, junior Catherine Park, and incoming freshman Sarah Hammett. For Shoemaker, this will be her 3rd straight appearance. She earned 2nd place last year after finishing 7 under par overall. Koo and Park also competed last year, with Koo finishing in 4th and Park tying for 30th. Sarah Hammett will make her first appearance on this course as her championship debut. Well, the winner of the event will receive an invitation to the next 5 Augusta National Women's Amateurs and any major tournament for which she is eligible for 1 calendar year. Well, now it's time for some real madness. Let's kick it over to the old-timer, the grandpa of sports scene. Thomas, take it away.
I swear I'm not that old, guys. I swear. But that's besides the point. It's time for Grandpa to teach his grandson a little lesson. Welcome into Trojan of the Week. My name is Thomas Johnson, alongside Junior over here. We're going to get us started with a slugger in Ethan Hedges. Hedges had 4 multi-hit games this week, but it was his 4 home runs which helped the Trojans secure 3 wins over the past 7 days. He totaled 10 RBI, 6 runs, and 3 walks over Indiana and San Diego State to help extend his hitting streak to 13 games.
For my Trojan of the Week, I'm taking an Olympic silver medalist who took down the #1 team in the country. Of course, I'm talking about Tilly Kearns. Kearns led women's water polo with 6 goals this past week in a 12-11 victory over formerly ranked #1 Stanford, avenging their only loss on the year and shooting them to #1 in the country. Now, Thomas, if you don't mind, I'd like to go first. Now, Thomas, I think Hedges, he had a good performance. He had a clutch performance when his team needed it most. If we're talking clutch, that's Tilly Kearns. 4 goals in the 4th quarter. Scott mentioned it earlier. 1 goal in the last minute of the game. That was a hectic last minute. I'm not sure if you saw it. Very hectic last minute.
I will say
that's a clutch player right there.
It wasn't the game-winning goal, but Hedges, he played 4 games this week. Sure, it was a good 1-game performance, and you can't knock Kearns for only playing the 1 game. But it was an NCAA tournament team last year, mind you.
That's not this year.
Well, yeah, they could be this year. We don't know. It's the middle of this season.
I don't care about last year.
Stanford was a women's water polo national team last year. We're talking about this year.
I don't care. They were the #1 team in the country.
Hedges hit 6-11
okay.
against the Hoosiers. 11 hits, 6 runs, 10 RBI, 4 homers. 4 homers in 3 games with 2 big wins over the Hoosiers.
That's an all right
4
performance.
homers.
I think we just got to talk about who they're playing
2
against.
homers in
Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana, a basketball school who isn't even a basketball school.
An NCAA tournament team
from last year. It doesn't matter what they are last year. What are they ranked?
It does.
No, what's their record this year?
They have a winning record.
No, but what is it? Tell me what it is. It's 15-13. It's just above 500. Stanford was the #1 team in the country. It is not comparable, the competition they played.
It's so comparable.
It's not the same. What?
It's so
Did
comparable.
you just compare
an
unranked Indiana barely over 500 to the #1 team in the country?
But Hedges hit 6-11. He hit 6-11.
Can I also
Do you know the best player in the nation? He would not have.
Are you going to let me speak?
Well, you didn't let me speak, so I'm gonna continue to cut you off. He had 4 homers. He had the game-winning RBI against Indiana, and he also had 5 RBI in USC's 1-run, 9-run comeback.
It is also important to mention that they lost one of those games. He had a fine game in that. They lost one of those games, and Tilly Kearns was also named the NBSF Player of the Week. A fine game. He had a fine game in a loss. Yeah, it's a team game, Thomas. Okay. It's a team game. We got to remember that.
You know what is also a team game? Water polo.
I think one of the things we got to talk about is both of their abilities on the defensive side. And I agree, Hedges, great pitcher, but Kearns also had 2 steals. That's important on the defensive side.
Yeah, and Ethan Hedges had a perfect 1,000 fielding percentage this past week. Defense. That's not a good point.
That's all right. And I think it's
a perfect defensive performance is all right.
All right. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap it up here. Gramps here has to get to his midday nap. But the NFL broke big news yesterday about football sideline staples. And the reigning World Series champs are off to a hot start. Stay tuned to find out what other MLB teams started the season on a good note.
I've replaced your shoelaces with fruit by the foot.
So you did. I replaced your fingers with fruit by the foot.
Bravo. I've replaced your bones with fruit by the foot.
Indeed you have. I replaced your guitar strings with fruit by the foot.
Seems like a step backwards, but alright. I've replaced your DNA with fruit by the foot. That would be end of game, my friend.
Fruit by the foot. Fruit-flavored snack.
Are you guilty of driving while talking on your cell phone?
Hi, Billy Mays here for the Jupiter Jack. The most convenient hands-free device for any cell phone, guaranteed. Plug it into any phone and mount it on the dash. Preset your radio to 99.3 FM and you're ready to go. Jupiter Jack transmits quality sound through the speakers in your car. Instead of hearing music, you hear the other person. No plugs, no wires, no hands. Call now and get the Jupiter Jack for just $40. Order right now and we'll cut the price in half. You'll get the Jupiter Jack for only $19.99. As a bonus, we'll also include the Jupiter Jack phone mount. It mounts easily and adjusts to fit any shape or size phone. Just pay separate shipping and handling. That means you get the Jupiter Jack and the phone mount, a huge value, all for just $19.99.
Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-346-5231. But call now. We're giving away a bonus dashboard mount with all of today's orders. So call 1-800-346-5231. Call now.
Welcome back to Sports Scene. To wrap things up, we're talking about the pros. The Dodgers are back and starting the season hot. Let's send it over to Daniel to hear more about it.
Thanks, Liam. Major League Baseball is officially back, and the defending champion Los Angeles Dodgers have picked up right where they left off. The Dodgers took care of business last week against the Detroit Tigers, winning all 3 games, and in the second game on Friday, Mookie Betts hit a walk-off homer to win in extra innings. This week, LA has made light work of the winless Braves with 2 victories. The Dodgers and the Padres are the MLB's only 2 undefeated teams through the first week of the season. LA's 7-0 start is the best in team history since moving to Los Angeles, and the only better starts were in 1955 and 1940. So Kyle, what do you think about the Dodgers and their hot start to the season?
Well, I think the Dodgers picked up right where they left off in October after winning the World Series. You know, they're tied with the 1933 New York Yankees for the best record after winning the World Series. So I think right now they're coming off a win last night against the Braves, starting the season off 7-0. And the last time that happened, where they won the World Series, was 1981. They started the season off 6-0, and then they ended up winning the World Series that year. So I don't see anyone, beating the Dodgers in the postseason or the World Series. Right now I think they're overall as a team, their batting average is .226, and they're second in the league with home runs with 15. Right behind the Yankees, who are 18 with the help of torpedo bats. But that's still not going to help them beat the Dodgers in the postseason. So I don't see anybody beating them.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at what they did last year. They retained most of their core. Freddie Freeman was the best player in the World Series MVP. And if they have a healthy Shohei Ohtani, I really don't see how the Dodgers are going to get knocked off in the postseason.
Yeah, and one thing I've seen within these last few games that they've been on a win streak is even though they come off to a slow start in the beginning of the game, they still find effective ways to win the game in the end. Like you mentioned, with Ohtani, Mookie Betts had a walk-off home run 2 nights ago on Friday night against the Tigers. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Dodgers, elevate this season. And the city of LA is going to be on fire this year.
Well, we're in for a very good baseball season. Thanks for joining me, Kyle. But as the Dodgers will cap off their series against the Braves tonight and will hit the road this weekend to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. And that's all we have for the Dodgers. Now let's hear about some new rules in the NFL for next season.
Thank you, Daniel. Big news in the NFL, and no, it's not a trade. It's the end of the chains and a first down for the future. The league is ditching the old school first down change for digital down cameras. Hawkeye cameras and 6 8K cameras along the field will look to speed up the game with the chains as a secondary option. Referees are still responsible for spotting the ball, but when the question of whether the ball is a first down or not, the technology will take over. Well, in the past week, gentlemen, a lot of rule change controversies. The tush push trying to be banned in the NFL and in the MLB. As Kyle mentioned, the torpedo bat controversy. What rule change or possible rule change has been your favorite, Chris?
I absolutely love getting rid of the chain gate. I mean, with all due respect to those guys, it's a bit of an antiquated system to me. I think you look at soccer and they have all their VAR technology where you can, they use all the cameras to come up with the 3D models of the players. There's no reason why football should be relying on dudes trying to walk in a straight line. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only sport where you kind of, want that ambiguity is baseball because it's a very psychological game. I think there's a reason we haven't transitioned to, digital umpires. But in terms of my favorite rule change, I mean, the NFL now changing the replay assist system where now referees, if they throw a flag for, stuff including hits to a defenseless player, face mask, horse collar, roughing the kicker, they can now review it and take that flag back. And I think we all know the state of the referees. We don't like them too much, so I think this is great.
Well, so for me, I think I got to point out one thing about the torpedo bats and the tush push. I don't think they would be relevant whatsoever if the Eagles and the Yankees were not the teams putting those into play. I think the torpedo bats, if it was from the Tigers, would not be an issue at all in the MLB. The Yankees' early success has led to some controversy surrounding that. And I kind of like the change. I don't know. I think it's a football staple to bring out those chains. It kind of gets you in the element. When you think about football, you think about the chains. That's just my opinion, obviously. Well, no more chains. No more guesswork. The NFL is embracing precision. As for other changes, no sudden movement has been made to change the tush push or torpedo bats. But maybe we'll find out next week. That's all the time we have for this week. I'm Liam Irvin.
I'm Chris Jose Nixon.
I'm Nolan Nezet. We'll see you back here next week.